Good morning, good morning, good morning, people. Good morning. Good morning. This is Spirit Journey. Today is Thursday, June 15, 2023, and the time is about 3:17 a.m. Yeah, I've been up around about an hour now, and it's a nice, cool breeze um, at the window, coming through the window. It's cracked open. Feels good. It's 61 degrees right now, Fahrenheit, and the weather looks pretty good. Yeah, what do I want to talk about? Well, the title talk about your identity is the war on your identity. And in the description, I say, who are you? Who are you? And I thought this might be a good topic. I got this topic idea. There was a commercial that came on while I was watching YouTube about, yeah, it's very controversial, but why? Well, I mean, but why now are these things becoming a popular discussion, issue, I should say. It's a documentary that that was that's being promoted now. There's a documentary on your children, minors, are being asked and questioned what God gave them, what God gave them between their legs. I'm 60 years old, and what was the issue for me growing up was not about gender. Oops, I should have said that word, the G word. But anyways, what was the issue? An issue for me, or the issue, was race. What is race? This was a strong issue. Yeah, in the early 70s, the mid 70s, the movie Roots came out. What else? Yeah, I went to an integrated school in New York City. Yeah, I was in junior high school, I think. But you start to meet people, at least in New York. New York is a very racialistic state. Everything was about race, 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 race. Everything. And little girls in elementary school in the early 70s, the street girls, as I call them, fighting everybody. They'll fight the boys, fight other girls. Um, it was no love. It was very traumatic for me. Questions, especially if you're of mixed heritage, this could be even more confusing. Who are you? And why is it what you are has anything to do with your neighbor or other classmates or the children in the neighborhood? Why is it? So it's just something you think about. And, New York City now, it's still an issue, but not as an adult. I'm able to ask myself questions. What makes one group or nationality better than somebody else? The answer, nothing. No one is better than anybody. But the illusion of differences, it's all in the mind. You can take children from all over the world and place them together. And they're not going to have an issue. People might be curious about other people, natural curiosities. Let's say they all spoke the same language, but just different. And they were never taught about different groups. People are going to be curious. Kids are naturally curious. But outside of that, of good and bad, no. Just like you grow up, let's say you're a farmer. You live on a farm with animals, uh, different types of plants, and vegetables and all that. You just see that there's different things out there, and nothing negative attached to it. So all of a sudden, I would say the past 3 years especially, we've been hearing, you also know what was going on the past 3 years. Okay, it's 2023. But all of a sudden, you're hearing things about what you were given at birth and a question about it. And they're targeting young children. Now, that age, elementary school, I never thought once what was down there. And in fact, they did separate um, in the playground boys and girls. Oh yeah, that was done, but I really didn't think much of it. But I see that certain types of play um, amongst certain gender were more physical, and others more non-physical. But I never really thought much of it. But I was raised in a household that was heavily male influenced. And I did notice that there are differences in what one could do. Again, I was the youngest also. I was young, so a lot of it had to do with age. But I noticed, though, that there were I felt more opportunities, play opportunities if you're a boy. And if you had to wear a dress back in those days, as a child, elementary school I wore dresses. And you're limited what you could do, with the dress. You can't, you have to act differently if you have a dress on. But I wore pants, I think, for the first time, my first day in junior high school. Yeah. Junior high school, I always wore pants. The last day of school, though, I remember wearing a dress. Yes, I remember. I felt like I wanted to feel like a grown up. Yeah, I wore a dress. I remember the dress too. It was like a peach colored dress. Um, it had like vertical, lines, pinstripes that went to a V. It was nice. But I remember you act differently when you wear certain things. Pants and stuff gives you that sense of freedom. You could, you know, not be, you don't want anybody to see your underwear, if you're wearing a dress. So that's about it. Wear certain types of outfits. You have to behave certain ways because, of modesty. You don't want things to show. And wearing pants gave you more freedom in movement. But that was about it, though. But I never once thought, boy, I want to be a boy. Um, let's see. But so I think now, what's happening now for young people to be preoccupied? So what's coming to my mind now? See, certain companies. I met someone who worked in a jewelry company in the West Indies. And you're given, to work there, you have to take a psychological test. And they asked you, I mean, this is what my friend was saying when she worked there. You were asked to draw a picture of, I think they might have said a man or a woman, whatever. They wanted to just see what you draw. And my friend at the time said this woman drew what she drew with extreme detail. In hindsight, okay, you can ask someone to draw something. They're going to, you know. Well, it was too much. She did not get hired. Okay. But children are sometimes asked to draw pictures to make an assessment on their mental state. Children in general, when they're asked to draw something, and if they're not being sexualized, you know, when they draw pictures of people, it's without any private parts. Okay, I want to be very tactful. Okay, but when there's a boundaries crossed, they draw detail. If you don't know, if growing up, people are people, children are children. You're not saying that's you're not preoccupied. At least I felt I wasn't. But it can develop once boundaries are crossed. You start to notice, or if you showed certain photos, if you know what I mean, at a young age, you're going to start noticing. See, noticing certain things are taught. You learn in stages. Okay, a little child, little child, let's say 3-year-old, 2-year-old, it's something that's not of their attention. But all of a sudden, it's being introduced as something that's important to notice. And with it, the stigma. And this also reminds me of in the scripture, in the what's called the Bible, in the Old Testament. And when you had Adam and Eve in what they call a garden, and the God that placed them there said you can have everything. It's at your disposal, but not this one thing. And then this serpent comes along and says, did God really say you can't have anything in the garden? And that statement put question to them that did not exist. It was completely distorted. The question could have been, hey, did God really say you can't touch that one thing? But when you say, did God really say you can't have anything in this garden? Okay? Deception. It's to plant a seed of doubt. When you're told you can't have anything, it makes you maybe defensive, questioning. So the same as with what you're born with. Do you really have that? They know that young people. I remember growing up and going through puberty. I was very self conscious. Yeah, very, very self conscious, and I didn't want to. Yeah, I was in a junior high school. And all of a sudden, we had to undress in front of people. And if you're a girl, you start to develop in certain places. And that was private. I didn't want anybody to see that. And why do they do this to children? I think it's a purpose. And it's a purpose to cause confusion. Why all of a sudden, it's not like when you were in elementary school, but boom, going through puberty, and they're going to do that to children. It's horrible. And it's your privacy. Just like when you go to the ladies' room, you have a booth because may have to do things, right? But they do this to children. And I think it's by design. And then when they're ready to put in the next phase of this traumatization upon the public, I call it social engineering. They just, okay, we're ready to implement the next phase of identity issues. Yeah, even with Adam and Eve, it was about identity. Who were they? Who are they to each other? What roles based on those identities? Your identity with the Creator, your identity with the male and female, and then control. When the cards fell in the Garden of Eden, everything fell downward, and the relationship between the two were greatly suffered based on that one statement, that one seed of doubt, of withholding information, withholding a thing. You have 99.9% of the stuff that you could deal with, but that one thing, 0.1%, was the focus. What other thing was a 0.1% focus over the past 3 years? Wasn't that the same thing? And how many people passed away unnecessarily from that one 0.1% focus? Yeah, when we focus on 0.1%, you're going down the hill. And what's happened with young people? What wasn't an issue was presented as an issue. They're getting hurt. They're delicate. And again, causing the destruction of the family. Isn't this a tragedy? To go after young children, not even going through puberty even, could be 3, 4 years old. I didn't know anything like this. I didn't have awareness about this. But why make little children be aware of something like this when they should be out playing, socializing? There's an agenda, I believe, in my opinion. It's my opinion. To destroy, the family had been targeted after the war, especially World War II, the war in the family, in stages. Yeah, it's been in stages for a long time, even probably before. the public schools. But there wasn't always public schools. And it's in stages. You take away your kids. Back in the day, people worked on farm. Most people were farmers. They grew their own food. They had community. And then they implemented public schools. It's not about educating them for greatness, about social engineering. Who they're going to like, who they're not going to like. It's about control. Yeah, and then the war hit. And then after the war, suburbs were developed, forcing families away from their families because they have to travel long distance to get to work. Before, your work was where you lived. You worked in a village. Well, village life was destroyed, and the suburbs were their replacement. Keep families, fathers away from their wives and children. And then the school took over and brainwashing your kids, implementing certain subjects. So with me, race was the trigger. Now, they're trying to erase race. I mean, race is still being weaponized, definitely in New York City, back and forth. But I noticed though, it seems like the race seems to be blurred when it comes to same-sex unions. I noticed that. All of a sudden, there's no racism between this polarized groups if they're the same gender, I noticed. But when it's opposite and racial differences, all of a sudden you're committing sin or this hate. So I just thought that was very unique. But your kids, identity, is weaponized to further deteriorate the family unit, hurting little things before they even start to blossom and cause confusion in their mind, something that did not exist. It did not exist with anybody I know. And I live in a big city. But all of a sudden now, in large cities, having movies, so-called heroes, who are, suggesting certain gender-neutral mentality. In my opinion, who you are, your identity is your business. But be wise. Like what was being taught in that scripture. What should you have learned? Don't always trust people who ask you certain questions that you never had an issue before. And maybe you should ask that serpent, hey, what is it of your concern about my relationship with myself or with my God or with my community or with my friends? You tell them to get lost. They're cowards. And they're jealous of you. You had 99.9% beauty, peace, joy, harmony, wealth. And they got you to focus on the 0.1%, if even that, and cause chaos. We're living in a society today where they have you focusing on the 0.1% of nothing, a nothing burger. A nothing burger. A seed of confusion. a seed of destruction and despair and fear. And they're in the background laughing at you, destroying your family. I mean, the family unit, the smallest unit of the family are the children, because they are the next generation. But there's a social engineering to remove the family completely. Put in neutral, gender neutral, the gray zone, gray it out. And what is the outcome when you gray out everything? No children. When you have certain medical procedures done on you, yeah, they're allowing minors and putting them in um, a safety zone for them, that they could run away from home to a safety zone, and without permission, family permission, to have those children go under a major, major operation. In schools, you can't even give a child an aspirin without asking the parent. So you're going to cut open somebody's body? This is a war on the family unit. Your children are your blessings. Blessings from the Creator. This outside force hates you. They hate you. They hate that you have 99.9% of this planet of wealth, prosperity, and they are poisoning your environment. They're poisoning your mind. They're making people afraid of their neighbors, afraid of family members, getting family members against each other. This is very sad. So, ask yourself these things, people. When you're growing up, when did you start noticing these differences? And so what for these differences? But see how things can be weaponized. Your own identity. They're getting people, back in the day, getting people fighting over what your race is. How dark or light your skin is. What texture your hair. And fighting people. I met a young woman, and they were fighting her, according to her story, fighting her because of her color, and it's her own group, name calling her, pulling out her hair in Chicago. Wow. Yeah, these things can traumatize people. Identity, perception from others upon who you are, even. Who you are is who you are. But not everything what people say what you are is true. Not everything what people say about you are true. They want you to believe things that are bad about yourself. Turn it around and start saying, hey, who are you? And what is it of your concern about my life? Get behind me, Satan, right? A biblical verse. That's not my words, right? People want to get into other people's business. See, this is the enemy out there, spreading seeds of confusion, altering your food source, planting in a weed of destruction in your garden, making your life uninhabitable. Protect the innocent. Protect innocence. Protect youth. Protect the family unit. and don't always believe the hype. Yeah, I feel that identity is being weaponized. And now they're even implementing, I'm even going to go further with that gender identity. How about identity of people from outer space, what they call aliens from outer space? You know what? This too is going to be weaponized. Alien from outer space. Yeah, years ago, one of the I think it was President Reagan from the 1980s, early 80s, and he was saying at the Capitol, what if something from outer space came down? Wouldn't wouldn't it help bring humanity together? Something to that effect. Well, lately there's been things in the media about seeing what they call UFOs. There's another term for it now, to try to make it sound more legitimate. They use some other things, uh, say some other terminology for it. But, old school is UFO, unidentified flying object. Yeah, allegedly, someone called the 911, and then the police allegedly went there. They saw something fall from the sky, a large boom. Why is it now being publicized? Why now does the media want to talk about these alleged sightings, but before in the past? Oh, you're just crazy. Oh, it's your imagination. Why now? Well, they want to weaponize, I feel, in my opinion, they want to weaponize that identity. Who's the alien? And we got to protect ourselves from this alien. And look even further, the aliens across the border, south of our border. That's also being weaponized. But the biggest one coming up, I think, is going to be the alien from outer space coming down. And why would that be considered an identity? Well, you have alien. You can't say the word alien if there's something that is native. And to know those two words, native and alien, means that you have an awareness of what you are with regard to something or someone else, and your attitude towards that other thing or person. And that other thing or person can result in polarity / war. So your identity, if you identify with that so-called alien, then it's not alien anymore. It's family, right? Yeah, these are all distractions, people. Distracting from the foundation of your life, family. The family unit is something that's precious, and should be protected. Whether you're the father, mother, child, or even extended family. You have aunts, uncles, grandparents, cousins. This is being, oops, let me turn that. My alarm. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, that was my alarm that went off. My timer. Yeah. Yeah, these things are coming about. And it's happening for a reason. It's all to distract so that they could come in and destroy. So, a message behind this is Protect your identity. Protect the you. Be comfortable with your identity of self. See, when you're sure in yourself, and I speak to me also when I say this, see, it's when doubt comes in, that's when the enemy really flies in the fly. You are who you are. And they want you to be unstable because that's when they charge in. Stand your ground. Don't look for trouble, but stand your ground. And no matter what your identity is at the moment, to love and respect that which the Creator gave you, whatever what it is. Protect it, respect it, and you respect your neighbor. This is all a journey that we're all on. A journey about one's identity. Who are you? Who are you to you? And the real warfare is the warfare in your mind. See, Adam and Eve didn't have to eat of that fruit, but doubt came in and fear came in. They could have just walked away and protected their true identity. Doubt could always pop in, temptation, but you don't have to partake. You just walk away. Walk away. And if you can, you tell that demon, get away from my life. Why don't you eat it? Yeah, you say, hey, why don't you eat it? Why don't you partake and get the hell out of my life? Sometimes you may have to be a little bold. Yes, I say this to myself. Sometimes you need to learn to speak up and say, enough is enough. Why are you so interested in what I eat or don't eat? Or what I have or don't have? What is it of your concern? And watch them run with their tail between their legs. Identity. One's identity is being weaponized. And now they're weaponizing your children. The most delicate part of their life. The system does not love them. And when you attack a young child and have them go through a procedure, they are forever tainted, unable to reproduce. Unable to reproduce. And that is the game. It's not about concerning over them deciding what their identity is. It's about sterilization and the permanent removal of humanity. Yes, that's what it's all about, I think. Putting doubt, destroying what God gave you, what your creator or your higher power gave you, and make you unfruitful. The Garden of Eden was all about fruition, bounty, the message behind it. But the enemy was there and jealous of what you have. They wanted what you have. And so they threw a question of identity upon you. And it has been havoc ever since. Families, protect your precious children. Protect your own identity. Be in harmony with nature that embraces you. Thank you again for listening. And should you like this content and wish to support my channel, you can do so by PayPaling me. To do so, just go to my channel, Spirit Journey, and on the right side of the banner of my channel, you see my PayPal me link. Just click on the link, follow the prompt, and any amount would be greatly appreciated. I thank you in advance. I thank you. Thank you. Peace, love, joy, and harmony and prosperity be unto you too, listener, Oh, thank you for the thumbs up. Peace and love to you. Take care and enjoy your day. Your identity is a personal one to love and enjoy. Peace.